Students, and welcome to this video where we're going to discuss the Budgets and Cash Flow Lab, and I'm going to look with you at problem number 1. When you're completing this, because you will be uploading it as an Excel file, I would like you to follow the same format as I'm doing here, so please make sure you're paying close attention to the details. So I'm going to start by putting number 1 in the column. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm working out problem number 1 for you. You will do the same thing for problem number 2 and problem number 3. Everything can be on the same sheet. So that means when you submit your file, I should be able to see problem number 1, which we've done together. I should be able to see problem number 2, which you've done on your own, as well as problem number 3, all in the same Excel spreadsheet. Okay? So, for the directions, it states, for each of the following scenarios, write up the household's budget with the prorated monthly amounts for all incomes and expenses. And then the last thing you're going to do is compute the cash flow. So when I think about how I want to organize, I want to start out with my income, and I'm going to list out the names of my income in these columns that I'm highlighting, and I'm going to put their respective cost here. Therefore, both of these columns are representing income. So I'm going to highlight. In order to highlight, I click on one cell. I hold my mouse and drag over to highlight the other cell. I right click and I'm going to click to merge my cells together. Now everybody's looks different. I'm actually working on my desktop computer, and so even this is a little different than what my laptop does. So you may have to read down the list and try to see what you can find for being able to merge. This actually doesn't work for me. I have a merge button here. It says merge and center, so that's actually going to be easier for me to click. So the process I was doing a second ago where I highlighted and right click on my laptop, I have a button that says merge, but since I didn't on my desktop, I used this merge and center button that's over here at the top. Okay. All right, and then the next two columns are going to be my expenses. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click and drag to highlight the two rows. And again, I'm going to click merge and center to make that into one cell. So you see my divider went away. Okay, now we're going to look at our problem. Lisa earns $1,600 per month from her job. So I'm really going to take this step by step. She has a job and she gets a salary, and her salary is $1,600. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under income. She also receives a scholarship of $1,500 twice a year. She had monthly expenses of $500 for rent, $120 for utilities, $30 for her gym membership, and $110 for insurance. Her weekly expenses are $65 for groceries and $35 for gas. She has college expenses of $3,000 twice a year. She takes her cat to a veterinarian once a year for $75. Now, if you look at all of these different statements, some are telling you monthly expenses, some are telling you yearly expenses or doing something twice a year, some are telling you weekly cost. So you really have to think through this because the original directions ask you to write up the household's budget with the prorated monthly amount. So everything I put in here, I want it to be in terms of how much is this costing or how much am I gaining in 1 month. And so her job, she does gain $1,600 per month, so that is correct. The next thing that we come across is the scholarship, and she receives a scholarship of $1,500 twice a year. So in an entire year, she's actually getting the $1,500 plus the $1,500, which is $3,000. But again, we're trying to figure out how much does she get within 1 month. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type the equal sign because I want Excel to calculate the value for me, and I'm going to put in parentheses $1,500 and that is for half a year, which is 6 months. So I'm going to divide that by 6 in order to determine how much money does she make in 1 month. And the Excel lets me know that there was a typo in my formula because it does not want me to include the decimal symbol, or excuse me, the dollar symbol, and that's okay. So yes, I will make this exception. And so then I get the amount 250. And again, in my mind, I know that that's representing $250. And I think, in fact, yep, I can go and press this button right here and it will put the dollar symbol there for me if that's, very important to me. I'm actually going to come back up here if it's okay with you all, and I'm going to make sure the currency symbol is there as well. Okay? Now going on, she has monthly expenses of $500 for rent. So for rent, she spends $500. Again, I'm going to click on the cell, click on the currency. Then in a month, she has utilities, where she spends $120. Again, I'm going to click the cell and the currency. And then $30 for the gym membership. So gym, she spends $30. I'll click on the cell, put the currency. $110 for insurance. So that's $110. Click on the cell. Oh, and the currency came up. So Excel tends to notice a pattern that you start doing things, and it will start to put things in your cells for you, which it did in that case. Okay. Now we move on to weekly expenses. Her weekly expenses are $65 for groceries. So again, remember that we're trying to think about monthly expenses. So when I actually do my formula here, I'm going to take the $65 for 1 week and I'm going to put that in parentheses because I'm going to then multiply it by 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year, and then I'm going to divide by 12 because after I determine how much I spend the entire year, I want to divide it by 12 months so that I know how much she spends in 1 month. And I get $281 and 6.6666667 cents. This is not a very reasonable value for me to look at. So if you look over here in the top right of your screen where my mouse is, if I begin to click these, they add less or more decimal values, as many as I want. So I'm actually going to make this less so that it rounds the values in terms of dollars. I'm going to put my currency symbol, and now I have $281.67. She states that for gas, she spends $35 per month. So we're again going to do an equation, and we're going to put 35 times 52 weeks, and we're going to divide that by 12 to determine how much she spends in 1 month. Again, the value is extremely large, so I'm going to reduce down the decimals so that it rounds to a dollar amount. Put my currency, and I'm good to go. And then she has college expenses of $3,000 2 times a year. And so, again, I'm trying to think about how much she'll spend in a month. So let's see if she spends she has college expenses of $3,000 twice a year. So that means she has to spend that much 2 times, right? So that would be $6,000 in a year. So we'll put college. So if she spends $6,000 in a year, we want to divide that by 12 months to determine how much does she pay in 1 month. I'll put my dollar symbol there as well. And then the very last statement, she takes her cat to a veterinarian once a year for $75. So this is the vet, and in the entire year, she spends $75. So we want to know in 1 month, we divide that by 12, we get $6.25. And you can see sometimes, like when I was reading or typing, like when I did on college, I kind of hesitated, and that's okay. Don't be ashamed that you have to hesitate and think for a second, because these problems are extremely wordy, and you really want to think about what is it saying so that you make sure you're doing your division correctly. This is sort of like unit conversions, right? We're being told how much we spend in a year versus a month versus a week, and we're trying to get the units all in months. So essentially, that's what you're doing. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to figure out what is our total income, and then we want to figure out what is our total expenses. So you are not required to do this, but for the sake of this video, I think it's a lot easier to just kind of put things in colors for you. So I'm going to put all of my income in yellow, and then let's do a fun color. We'll do orange for our expenses. So if I want to determine the total, that means that I am just trying to find the sum. So I'm going to do equals the sum and put a parentheses, and I'm just going to click on the cells, as you see I've done here. So again, I pressed equals sum and I clicked on the respective cells. This is a formula in Excel. Again, it avoids me needing a calculator. After I press enter, Excel does the work for me. Same thing with expenses. I'm going to press equals sum parentheses, and I'm going to click, drag, and highlight all of these cells, end my parentheses, and press equals so that I get my total expenses. Okay, again, in your document that you're submitting, I am going to be looking that you have the proper Excel formula, that you did not use a calculator to just add up your values, but that you actually used a formula. And then the last thing to answer the question is to determine the cash flow. So remember, in order to find cash flow, you're trying to see, all right, are you making more income than what you're spending? And that's the goal, right? You want to have more money that you're bringing in than what you're taking out, so that you don't end up in debt. So in order to determine the cash flow, we're going to say equals our total income subtracted from our total expenses equals $150.42. So that's great news, because we have a positive value, which means we are saving some money each month. All right? And remember, these are very practical applications that you can use in your own life. I certainly hope that you are budgeting your finances. This is something that you want to begin thinking about early on in your life to start establishing really good routines. And if you are maintaining any type of budget, or if you are, this definitely would be a good process, and to make sure you're always evaluating your cash flow so that you can determine how well are you saving money for, a rainy day, or for retirement, or something of that nature. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. If you need further assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out, and have a wonderful rest of your day.